Hi, it's Alex, and I'm going to be doing my nature journaling for January. So I'm going to be creating something a bit like this. I've been on a few walks this month. It's nearing the end of January, so I'm going to take inspiration from those walks. One I've previously filmed, and you can give that a watch, from Brown Moss Nature Reserve in Shropshire. And I've also taken inspiration from the nature reserve that I work at, which is on the Cheshire and North Wales border. So yesterday was the 25th of January, and we went to Ynys Llanllwyn on Anglesey to celebrate the St Dwynwen's Day, which is the Welsh Valentine's Day. And as some of the wildlife we saw there has really inspired some of the stuff that I really want to put in the nature journal. So that will be going in, as it is the first pages in the new 2026 nature journal. You'll see me kind of figuring out like layout and things like that as we go along. So yeah, let's get started. Okay, so the aim is to create something similar to my previous nature journals. Now, I've already done a snowdrop in previous nature journals, but I want to do another one in this one. It can't be a January spread without a snowdrop in there. Okay. So in my new journal, I've got my first page is going to be my wreath, and then this would usually have been a poem page. Something similar to this, but I'm doing away with the poetry page because I'm going to focus on the Tree Ogham calendar from the, where have I got it? Oh, yeah, I'm going to focus on the Tree Ogham from the almanac, focusing on birch and some other stuff. And you'll see as well, I use post-it notes to kind of keep track of what I'm doing, what I'm thinking of in there as well. This will be my main what I've seen January page, and then this is going to be a species highlight page. So I'm using the Tom Studio Lumos pen with the brush tip on the end there. So this was a Christmas present I asked for. And I'm just starting off by putting in my title. So I'm going to do January in the brush lettering, and then next to it I'm going to do the Welsh word for January, which is Ionawr. I'm using this year's nature journal to help me learn Welsh, so apologies, I will struggle with the pronunciation, but I'll try. And now I'm going to start trying to plan what I'm going to draw here. So there's been a couple of things that I really wanted to add on there. So from the Shropshire walk, birch polypores were really lovely, and there was also a hoof fungus that I want to pop in here. So I've got a couple of reference photos from those walks that I'm going to draw from. The other thing I do is I go online and have a little look at some different images. I'll have a little look at, the Wildlife Trust website and the RSPB website. I've also got a load of reference books that I have a little look through as well. So for what I'm going to pop in this page is I like to do a bit of a combination of bird life, maybe mammals, maybe some plants. So I like to have a bit of a variation of things that go in there. It's been super hard this January to narrow it down, so I definitely want to get some long-tailed tits in there as well. Marsh Harry I've still got a question mark over, but I'll see about that. And we are going to put a snowdrop in here as well. So I've kind of just planned out a little bit where I want things to go. So I think I want my snowdrop to go over here, and I want my long-tailed tit in the front. One of the reasons why I bought this sketchbook is because it has a flat spread, so I can draw over the centre. I've always used like the ring binder ones in the past, and you can't do that, so I'm just going to, I think I'm going to begin with the birch polypore and we'll just move on and we'll see what happens. So I'm just using my reference photograph of the birch polypore to pencil in sketch a kind of an outline and then building up some detail here as well. Got this on fast motion, whatever it is, speedy mode, to just show my process of using pencil, and then I go in with fine liner, rub that out, and then I go in with the watercolour paint a little bit later on. So here I am just doing the fine liner over the pencil lines that I want to keep in, and it's a suggestion of detail. And I've moved on to the hoof fungus there as well, just in that corner. It's got some beautiful lines on there, some beautiful detail, and just getting in the wood that it's growing on as well, on the old tree. And I'm going in with my fine liner again, pick out those details. And I kind of like to suggest placement in my sketchbook as well. You know, if something's high up, if it's a bird or something high up growing on a tree, I'll tend to place it higher in the sketchbook, and say if it's a plant that's growing on the ground, I'll tend to place it lower on the sketchbook as well. I want the long tail tip that I'm drawing now as my centerpiece, so I've chosen it to be big and bold right in the center of the page, and it is drawn quite large. I wanted to try and get as much detail in there as I could, so I'm just penciling it in. It took me a few goes as well to try and get the tail in right and pencil in some of those finer details. So I'm going in with my fine liner here to pick out the details again, being really careful around the eyes as well, and using just short little stroke motions with the pen just to kind of give a suggestion of feathers and texture. I don't want it to be so thick, or layered with the pen that it's kind of like, a paint by numbers. You don't want it to look like, a colouring in page. I've just ran outside and picked some snowdrops. I'm going to draw from these for the page. I think I'll put them over here. I'll do that next. So I'm using the snowdrop to draw from here. So it's really nice to be able to bring things from the outdoors and bring it inside to draw from. And I even managed to get like the correct height of the snowdrop as well, just by placing the snowdrop on the page and marking out, the bottom of the stem and the top of the flower. So it's nice to have it actually in size. Of course, nothing is in proportion on this spread. And I'm just going in with the fine liner here as well. I've got two nice little snowdrops there in the corner. One of the favourites for a January page. So at the nature reserve that I work at, from the visitor centre, you can always see marsh harriers. And there's a particular female that nests just in front of the visitor centre in the reeds at the back of the scrape. And she comes and she sits in the reed bed, and it's just this beautiful view through the scope. Now, I'm trying to capture this female marsh harrier sitting in the reeds. She has a really beautiful light coloured head, so I want to try and capture that, and then I want to try and get the reeds to kind of hide her in there. So I kind of, you know, she's quite small in comparison to my long-tailed tit that I've drawn in there, but I want to try to capture that she's far away. I'm looking at her through a scope. So I'm just trying to draw her in a little bit just so I can make sure I can get some of the colour in the correct place. And then she doesn't have to be perfect. It's just a kind of, you know, she's far away. I can't see too much detail. I've got a reference picture from the internet. So I'm just, and it's not identical to what I'm trying to envision. But I just want to try and get a bit of an impression of this beautiful female marsh harrier. I think once we've got the colour on her, I think hopefully she'll stand out a bit. Just quickly going in with the fine liner there on that marsh harrier to end with. I'm not going to pen in any of the reeds yet. I'm going to see how this develops. Interesting. Okay, let's move on to some painting. I'm ready to do some painting. I kind of like to do all of the same kind of colour at once, so I think I'm going to start with putting some green in places, or some bark. I really kind of get a bit bored doing the tree bits because my focus is on the other things, so maybe I'll begin with that first, get that out of the way, get some greens in, and then go into the rest of the colours. Let's give that a go. The other thing to add is, in my nature journal, always keep a bit of information of what the sketchbook is, but I like to attach a bit of the actual sketchbook paper onto a little tab like this, and then that way I can swatch my colours before I put it in here. It's actually quite nice as well to swatch down at the bottom of the page and keep that in there. I think that looks quite nice, but I'm going to swatch on this little tab for now. So I usually paint in watercolour from the lightest colours leading up to the darkest colours, and I like to let each layer dry, unless I want there to be, you know, a little bit of texture and like bleeding. So I go in with browns first, and then I'm going in with a little bit of the greens on the snowdrops, using a nice sap green, which is my favourite colour green on the watercolour palette. Just using the very tip of that paintbrush there, and then I go in with a smaller paintbrush just to get that little bit of finer detail to define some of the shadows. And onto the long tail tit, so I've done all the light to dark, left the white parts, that's the white page. And I'm just finishing up doing the little detail on the eye there. I know the light on this is not great. I'll figure that out because it's dark outside now. There's no natural light. I stopped for a break. I went and did a food shop. So yeah, it's the evening now and I need to finish off my Marsh Harrier. So I'm going to do that next. Let's get that one done. So I'm just painting in the Marsh Harrier and building up those colours light to dark again. A little bit later on in the evening, all my painting done, so I am now going to use my Tom Studio ink. It's in a sepia colour and a dip pen to do my titles for all the bits and pieces in the nature journal. So I like to do the common name, the scientific name, and also the Welsh name as well here in my dip pen ink, which so the two the title page and then the titles are all in the sepia ink, and you can see from the brush pen it's a lot lighter, and then the dip calligraphy pens come out a lot darker. And then I've used one of the smaller writing nibs to do the little bits of information for each as well. And again, it's a different tone of the sepia ink just because of that nib change. And there you have it, the final page. All done. Hello. So you'll notice different clothing, different day, different month. I didn't finish off filming that same video. I actually ran out of disk space. This whole filming process is completely new to me, and I didn't have enough room on my laptop to carry on filming and storing all the stuff. So this is me signing off. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know the lights got a bit dodgy as well. Working on it. Got a plan for the next video. And then what I'll do is I've got a couple more pages to show you for January, which I'll do in the next video. So if you've watched the whole thing and stuck by me, then thank you very much. And I'll see you on the next video where I go over the few more pages I've done for January. And then into February, we'll go on another walk and do it all over again. So thanks. See you later. Bye. When the wind of winter blows over the uplands and moonlit spaces, come ye out of the waste of snows to the glimmering fields and the silent places. A poem by L.M. Montgomery.